Aloha and welcome to another episode of Stay at Home Blues and Oranges brought to you by After School All Stars Hawaii. My name is Tosa and I am the site coordinator at Kalakaua Middle School. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, follow, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our new videos. Please also follow at All Stars Hawaii on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok to connect with us. The materials that you're going to need today are very simple and you can find them around your house. The first thing that you're going to need is an open and clean space. The second thing that you're going to need is a pair of scissors. Please be safe. Third thing that you're going to need is a roll of duct tape or tape. The fourth thing that you're going to need is a plastic container. I have an old container of wipes, but you could also use a 2-liter bottle or milk jug. The fifth item is a Sharpie. The sixth item is yarn or rope. Again, I have a spool of yarn here, white, just so that I can show you guys. The seventh thing is you're going to need one twig or stick, ideally the size of the jar because that's how big the handle is going to be. The next thing that you're going to need and the last thing that you're going to need is a family member to help you with the process. So you can pause here so you can grab all of your materials. Alright, so now that we have all of our materials, let's get started on our fishnet. The first thing that we are going to be doing is prepping our net handle. What that means is we are going to be drawing out the handle on our bottle and cutting it out. We are going to start at the opening of the jar, so it's one less thing that we have to cut. And we are going to draw a rectangle about 2 inches thick all the way from the mouth of the jar to the base of the jar. This will serve as our handle. And we are going to then cut it out with our scissors. So let's get started. What I first did before I did that was I took off the lid. I cut off the pieces of plastic, anything that was sharp. And then I did the same thing to this lid. So I popped this out. And then there was like a little piece in here where you can pull the wipes out. I cut that out. I tried to do it as smooth as possible, but just be careful again because it is plastic and it can be sharp. Make sure that when you are cutting that you have adult supervision. All right, so I'm gonna put this on the side because I actually want to use both those pieces. And again, take our Sharpie. And there is a line down the center of the bottle. You don't have to use this line, but I saw it and I figured that'd be probably perfect for me to use to draw on. So I'm going to mark one dot here on the side, and then I'm gonna go, again, eyeballing it, 2 inches. And so it looks like that. 2 inches roughly, not all the way. It's not gonna be perfect, that's fine. And I'm going to just draw it all the way down. And I know that I am going to stop at the base of the jar, so I just drew it around there. And then I'm also going to go maybe like 2 centimeters from where I drew my line, and I'm going to go all the way around the mouth of the jar because we actually want to keep this part because that is what is going to hold our net in place, is the mouth. All right, so it's not even or perfect. That's all right. And then we are going to cut it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully, I'm going to grab my scissors and I'm going to hold it with an L shape. So my hand is going to go under the base and I'm going to just use whatever side is a little bit pointier, which is this side. And I'm going to hold the scissors like this. I'm going to go right at the base of the jar where I drew my line. And I'm just going to very carefully push into the jar until I get a big enough hole where I feel comfortable with cutting. Then I'm going to carefully again take my scissors and I'm going to just start cutting the plastic. Okay, so I've got one cut going all the way up. And again, I'm not going to be able to cut perfectly right off the bat, but let's just get it out of the container shape that it's in, and then we can make more precise cuts. Again, please be careful of your fingers. Oh, there's a little bit of water still out the jar. Make sure that you wash your container because there are chemicals in it. So you want to make sure that you get all of that out before you start. Okay, and one last piece. Go into the base, and flip, and cut. Okay, all right, now that we've done the hardest part of this all, I'm going to put all this plastic together off on the side, along with my big piece of plastic that I put on the ground next to me, just so that it's not in the way. The next thing that we are going to do, so we have our handle, everything is set. We're actually going to cut in maybe about halfway through on both sides, not all the way. You don't want to cut your handle off, because what we are going to be doing later is, because this is like super flimsy, took my stick and we are going to go from the bottom and we are going to wrap the plastic around it and tape so that the handle is sturdy and it stays in place, but we'll do that later. All right. Okay, the next thing that we are going to be doing is we are going to take a string. So I already took string, I measured around my jar, but you are going to just measure around the mouth of your jar. So everyone's is going to be a little different, so I can't tell you exactly how much you need to measure, but just know that you want to completely cover the mouth of the jar with a little bit left over, because when you're tying, you want to make sure you have enough slack so that you don't have to start all over again. But this string right here is going to be the main piece that we use. So please try to make sure that you are using enough of the string, like I said, to cover the whole mouth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually tie it on to my jar right now, just so that we can get started on the process. I'm not going to tie it too tight because I want to make sure that I can get it off, because when we pop the lid back on, it will hold the string in place. All right, and if you need time to pause to complete this, now is your perfect time. All right, so I'm going to take my string off and I'm going to set that to the side. And what I've already done was I cut 20 1-foot strings, and this is going to be actually attached to our main string. It's going to end up being about this long, and it's not a very long net, and I'm just doing a short net for purposes of showing you, because it does take a little bit longer to do. But rule of thumb is the length that you want your string, you are going to fold it in half, so you're gonna have 2. So if I want my string this long, it's going to look like this. The string is actually going to be super long. It's going to be a 2-foot long string, and then in the middle is where I would tie it. So rule of thumb, double the string length because they will hang. All right, so I have 20 strings here, and I might not use all of them, but I want to make sure that I have enough. So how this is going to work is I'm going to take my string, again, folding it in half, and I'm going to just start right at the opposite end of the knot that I created, and you're going to do a very simple loop. Oh, oops. You're going to hang part of the string over, so now I have 2 parts hanging, and I'm going to open up the loop, and I'm going to pull the 2 bottom strings through. Very simple. And I'm going to do that multiple times. And while you're also doing this, you don't want to pull it too tight, because you want to be able to make sure that it can move initially. You're going to be putting a lot of strings on there, and you want to make sure that there is enough slack where you can move things around, position strings. What I found while I was making this net was that the width of my finger is the perfect space to space the strings. You want to make sure that the net is small enough that the fish that you can actually eat, or any creature that you're trying to catch respectfully, won't come out of your net. So I'm going to measure 1 finger length apart, and I'm going to do the same thing to the string. I'm going to, I'll hold it like this. I'm going to hang the string over the net. Again, like this. Going to open the string very carefully, and then I'm just gonna pull, if it'll come through, it through and down. And as you can see, it's about a finger length apart. Perfect. I'm gonna continue to do this, so I'm gonna fast forward real quick and I will be right back. Alright, so I have my strings and I used 15 out of the 20 and I tied them like pretzel knots. And you are going to need some assistance on this part. You're going to take the net, and please have your partner hold the net base down around the mouth of the jar, because it can fall off. And then you are sitting here trying to put it back on. So try to do that as carefully as you can. And then also please make sure that all of your strings are outside of the net. Okay, then you're going to take the mouth of the jar and put all your strings in through the mouth of the jar. Push them in. And then you're going to push it down onto the plastic. All right, so what you're going to do is, if you could hold that sideways, I'm going to just take the first two strings that I see and I'm going to turn them into a knot. And I'm going to knot it semi up to the base. Then I'm going to do the next two strings that I see. Same thing, up to the base. Oh, this one is not working with me. Oh, that string is super small. It must have gotten stuck. Okay, that's okay. And then the next two strings, you want to kind of be careful. Make sure that you are picking strings that are next to each other, because you will mess up the pattern if you don't. All right, so as you can see here, I'll hold this real quick for you. Now you have one set of triangle shaped pattern through. Oh, make sure that's tight. On each string, there's a knot. So now what we are going to do is we are going to take, let's turn it this way. We are going to take the next same pattern. We are going to take two strings and we are going to tie them again halfway down. You don't want the hole to be too big because the fish will swim right through, or whatever you're trying to catch. I like to catch a wahoo. I catch a lot of wahoo when we go fishing. Maybe I should just stick on fishing in the shores with my new net so I don't lose all of our line and hooks and all that. All right, so as you can see, you're starting to see a little bit of a net formation. We have our double strings right here that are tying. And again, we're just gonna continue this process. All right, so again, for purposes of video length and time, I did not make a long net, but this is what the net would look like. So what I also did was I took some string and I tied off the bottom of the net. So just make sure that you, as you can see right here, there's one that came loose. So make sure that when you are tying the bottom of the net, that you are tying it tight and around all of the strings. Again, ideally you want to have about 2 feet of string. I only used 1 foot, which made me 6 inches for the sides of this. So if we had a foot, it would be about that long. So that's probably the perfect size netting that you would want. So the next and final step is we are going to be taking the stick that we found, and I'm going to measure the stick all the way up to the base of that, and then I'm just gonna cut off what's left over. Again, please be careful, make sure you pick that up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna bend this a little bit. You want to kind of get the plastic in a moldable shape, and again, make sure that you had cut these slits. I didn't cut it all the way, but I did cut it enough. And again, please be careful of your hand. All right, and this is again where you're gonna need your partner. So I'm gonna place my stick in at the base, and I'm going to, if you could just hold it down, I'm going to grab my duct tape. So I'm going to take squares about this, or more of a rectangle, and I'm just gonna place it right where my partner's hands are open to begin with. And that's gonna get me a good secure spot. All right, so as you can see, our net complete, and it is actually very sturdy. Look, caught a mouse, guys. In the water, I caught a mouse. In conclusion, I know that you're at home, and so it's very important to keep not only your body, but your mind happy and healthy. Doing activities like this, where you learn how to make something on your own, increases your hand-eye coordination as well as your finger dexterity, while also ensuring you and your family can remain sustainable. As the ancient proverb says, give a man a fish and he will eat for a day. Teach a man to fish and he will eat for a lifetime. Don't forget to please share with After School All-Stars Hawaii your creations. Show us what you made, and please share with us any materials, tricks, or tips you use to create your own fish nets. Also, if you caught a fish, let me know. Thanks for watching and being a part of our All-Star Ohana. Please share this video and leave us a comment about what you liked and what you want to see next. Have a great day. Aloha.